tree, an eitz, is really carries a very deep symbolic significance in our spiritual understanding of things. It's not a coincidence the first humans God made encountered a tree of life, and another tree, a tree of knowledge, right, in Gan Eden. And those trees became pivotal for them. So since those days, human journey has been inextricably actually tied to trees of all sorts, and it's tied to fruit, it's tied to fruit, it's tied to produce, the things that come off the trees. I want you to think about it. So of course we have Hava and Adam. They ate of the fruit tree of knowledge. The coverings were provided for them from what? From the tree. Fig leaves came from the tree. Then Cain, he farmed. He brought the gifts of his labor to Hashem, right? Which were fruits and vegetables, things he grew. And because the things that he grew were not received in the same way, Hevel's gifts were, from the flock, jealousy brought about the first murder. These very beginnings of the Torah are all tied to our relationship, really, with trees, if you think about it. And trees are in the middle of every story as we go through Tanakh. When the world was overtaken by violence, the Almighty commanded Noah to take gopher trees, or as we call them today, cypress, and build an ark. And thus the trees provided safety for every creature escaping the flood. The sign that the flood was over came from a tree, an olive branch. Remember that? We can just keep going to the Bible doing this over and over and over. Abraham met with God and worshipped him by the trees of Mamre, right? Those big Elanot, right? Those huge, massive trees of Mamre. Moses came face to face with God and approached a burning bush. Remember how that story ended? So in the Mishkan, the Ark of the Testimony was made out of wood overlaid with gold. Okay? Again, trees. Whether we look at the Akedah story or at the laws of the sacrifices and offerings that are in the Torah, they're always laid on the trees. Okay? It's seen. They're laid on the wood. When you read the story of the Akedah, it says that he laid them on the wood. Where's the wood, right? Don't worry. Where's the sacrifice? He will see to it. We read these stories, but it's all right there in the midst of it. The first Psalm, Psalm 1, describes an upright person as a tree. An upright person, a righteous person, is called an eitz, planted by the streams of water that does not wither. Now, Psalm 92, the righteous person is compared to a palm tree and a cedar planted in the house of the Lord. Maybe you remember that reference. I'm sure as I'm going through these, you guys are probably remembering some verses in the Bible too. I know I skipped a whole bunch. I'm just mentioning the ones that pop into my head. So you're going to follow my train of thought and consciousness here. So the book of Proverbs speaks of the tree of life. Right? It's Chaim. And that we take hold of. The riches and honor come with this Etz Chaim. And its pleasant paths are peace. We sing this prayer, right? The tree of life. What is the tree of life? God's wisdom, His words. Torah is a tree. The rollers upon which the scroll is affixed to, we call them Etz Chaim. They're trees of life. They're literally trees. They're wood from which comes life. There's so much symbolism in this idea of a tree that's built into this celebration of Bi-Shvat. And we keep thinking about these lines. So Isaiah 11 speaks of Messiah as a shoot or sprout from the root of Yishai. Think about it. That's what Messiah is called, a branch, a little sprout. In Isaiah 53, the servant of the Lord, Eved Hashem, comes up like a tender shoot out of the ground. Remember that? Again, the language is something like a tree growing out of the ground. Deuteronomy 22:11 speaks of a capital punishment by hanging a person on a tree. Now Yeshua was forced to carry his own execution stake, if you remember that story. And he was put to death on a tree. The trees are all over the place. In his letter to Romans, Shaul speaks of Israel as an olive tree tended by God. He compares those of the nations whom God draws to himself with the branches of the wild olive grafted into the family of Israel. Trees again. We're again to trees, and these are all the same species, by the way, if you haven't figured this out. In Revelation, we're back to the tree of life, Etz Chaim, as a reward for the faithful who endure, and all are judged by the fruit of their lives. By the fruit. That's what we're judged by. So it's interesting, but we made all the way from Genesis to Revelation, and the trees are all around us. And there's tree of life in the beginning and tree of life in the end. I'm hoping that you could see how there's so much spiritual symbolism in the 7 species that we talked about. There's spiritual symbolism in just the very idea of a tree. So should we have a fun celebration that commemorates these ideas, that builds on the spirituality of that? I think it'd be great. And that's what Tu Bishvat is about, and we continue to celebrate it. So